Now, the first report from the Post Office Horizon IT inquiry has been released, and its focus is on compensation for those affected. Now, for anyone not aware, this is the software created by Fujitsu and rolled out to post office branches in the UK for managing cash flows and settlements, and which was so flawed that a huge number of sub-postmasters and mistresses were accused of embezzlement, with some jailed, many bankrupted, and 13 committing suicide. That's 6 former postmasters and 7 other branch assistants or post office workers. But possibly the most sickening aspect of this whole thing is that since the scale of the injustice came to light, the post office and the British regime have been doing all they can to delay and limit compensation. So yesterday, Sir Win Williams published the first volume of his final report, calling for urgent action to be taken to ensure full and fair compensation is delivered to sub-postmasters affected by the Horizon scandal. Now, the report was laid before Parliament, and so it will be undoubtedly debated at some point. It makes 19 recommendations, including that the government and the Post Office should agree on a definition of full and fair compensation, and that this should be followed when deciding the level of compensation to offer. The Horizon shortfall scheme claimants should receive legal advice funded by the government, and close family members of people affected by the Horizon scandal should receive compensation. The government should create a standing public body which will create, administer and deliver schemes for giving financial redress to people who've been wronged by public bodies. So that's the main points that were coming out in the report. One final one. The Fujitsu, the Post Office and the government should publish a report by the 31st of October 2025 outlining a programme for restorative justice or actions they've taken so far to produce this programme, which is none, more or less. Sir Win says that he expects the government and, where appropriate, Post Office and Fujitsu to provide a written response to his recommendations by the 10th of October 2025. Well, the Starmer regime has given a verbal response, at least, by claiming that it will, quote, promptly respond to the recommendations in full in Parliament. And they also say that they accepted Sir Win's recommendations that claimants should be able to bank the best offer they can get from the GLO process and should not be put at risk if they choose to go to the independent panel. Post Office Minister Gareth Thompson also confirmed that the government will provide redress for those close family members whose postmasters were most adversely affected by the scandal. In other words, the people that are dead. The cynicism in this is off the charts. And we should remember that while so many people lost everything, Paula Venables, who we just saw on screen a second ago, has lost nothing. Gareth Jenkins has lost nothing. The Post Office legal team has lost nothing. And Operation Olympus, the criminal inquiry, which is going to take years to bring anyone to court, apparently. So, this scandal continues to insult the people that were most affected by it, bearing in mind that it was absolutely avoidable from the beginning. But this is a great example of what happens when we allow AI to be considered, because effectively what this application was something that could just as easily be rebranded as AI these days. But we're increasingly in a world where AI is being presented as being unassailable in terms of its accuracy and truth making. And if we're basically relying on that to make decisions, then we're going to see much more of this type of thing. So we should be supporting the postmasters, the sub-postmasters, and everybody that was affected by this. And the government needs to get a grip. But anyway, let's move on then. Sandy and